So you understood acetylcholine and atropine. Then what is meant by non-competitive? Antagonist will go completely, irreversibly inactivate the receptor. Earlier case, it is competing. Atropine and acetylcholine, both of them want to go and bind with the receptor. Then chemical antagonism. For example, a patient has taken arsenic. Arsenic poisoning is there. We use a drug called British anti-lewisite, otherwise called dimercaprol. So what will dimercaprol will do? It will directly go and chelate the arsenic. The toxicity of the arsenic is brought down. So there is an example of chemical antagonism. Physiological antagonism. Two drugs are there, but they are acting opposite directions on the same physiological system. For example, histamine. Histamine is a bronchoconstrictor, right? When histamine induced bronchoconstriction is troubling the patient in a anaphylaxis, how do you save a patient of anaphylactic shock? You give adrenal injection. Why? Adrenaline is a bronchodilator. So adrenaline histamine relation is called physiological antagonism. Then functional antagonism. What is the meaning of it? There are two agonists, they are acting independently. For example, you take acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will stimulate acetylcholine receptors on the SCA node and lead to slowing of the heart. Adrenaline acts to make speeding of the heart, but by acting on adrenaline receptors on the SCA node. So two agonists acting independently on their own respective receptors but causing opposite effects is called functional antagonism. This looks very simple, but examiner want to twist the ankle only on these issues. Okay, doctor? Now, pharmacokinetic antagonism. What is the meaning of it? What is pharmacokinetics? Absorption, elimination, half-life, bioavailability. It is all called pharmacokinetics. If you happen to give tetracycline and the patient takes it along with the milk, what will milk do? Milk will basically form a chelation with tetracycline, prevents absorption of tetracycline. So if the tetracycline is not absorbed, it can't be effective. Similarly, phenobarbital, warfarin. If you give warfarin, warfarin induces P450. P450 metabolizes phenobarbital. So phenobarbital levels will fall down and efficacy falls down. That's an example of a pharmacokinetic antagonism. So there are the various forms. So what is the way? These are all previous questions. What is the way of asking a question? Physiological and functional antagonism. Which one is it? Glucagon and insulin. Glucagon raises sugar, insulin falls the sugar. Nitroglycerin falls the BP. Epinephrine raises the BP. Histamine constricts the bronchial muscles. Epinephrine dilates the bronchial muscles. Hence, these are all the examples of physiological and functional antagonism is what you have to remember. These are all the previous MDS entrance questions. Right? If we start theory, you will be bored. Rather, if we take few MCQs, set of classical MCQs and review the theory, it will be interesting. But we will also see, it's like reviewing theory is like eating rice. Unless you eat rice, you don't get that satiety. Ah, I had a good lunch kind of a feeling. MCQ based revision is like potato curry. It is very spicy, very interesting to eat. While watching cricket also you can finish potato wafers. But the memory will be shorter. So we will try to strike a deal of equality of both the ways. Okay, doctor? So Monday to Saturday sessions we will try to discuss more theory. Sunday sessions we will make it MCQ based whenever possible. That's our approach. So nitroglycerin falls the BP, epinephrine rises the BP, functional antagonism. Charcoal absorbs alkali and prevents poisoning. What is the type of antagonism you call it as? It is an example of a chemical antagonism. Any poisoning case, you give charcoal. What will charcoal will do? Charcoal immediately bind with that alkali or any poison and prevents its absorption. So that is called basically an example of chemical antagonism. Which of the proteins have the highest ability to bind drugs? All drugs will ultimately go and bind with albumin. That's the reason if a patient has nephrotic syndrome, what happens? He has albuminuria and hypoalbuminemia. He is losing albumin into urine and a low albumin in the plasma, nephrotic syndrome patients. When albumin is low, whenever you give a drug, will it be more in free form or a bound form? Because albumin is low, it will be more in free form. Is the toxicity due to free form or bound form? Toxicity is due to free form. So toxicity chances will increase. If a patient has got cirrhosis of liver, liver produces albumin, he will have hyperalbuminemic state. In him, earlier drug which is not causing toxicity, now if you give it, will it cause toxicity? More chances or less chances? More chances are there, because his liver is no more producing albumin, because albumin has the greatest ability to bind with the drugs. Whenever a drug is displaced from its protein binding, what effect it will have? Every drug binds with albumin, doctor. But sometimes you take some other drug. That drug, the second drug which you took has more affinity to protein binding than the first drug. What it will tell albumin? Hey, your partner has no MDS seat. It's a loser. I have an MDS seat, why don't you marry me? Then immediately albumin will say, that is also true. Then it leaves the existent BDS partner and marries the new MDS friend. What happens to the previous BDS guy? He becomes toxic. He is a loser both in entrance and also he lost his girlfriend. So some drugs displace other drugs from their protein binding because of their greater affinity to bind with albumin and lead to development of the drug toxicity of the previous drug. Increased drug effect, increased duration, decreased duration of action. Suppose if a drug is there, if it is protein bound, it will be floating in plasma. If it is not bound to protein, will it be filtered into the kidney? More chances are there, right? If it is filtered into kidney, it is lost into urine. If it is lost into urine means it got eliminated. If the elimination increases, duration of action will reduce. So drug displacement from a bound form into a unbound free form will lead to decreased duration of action. You understood that? And also, if the drug is displaced, it is more in free form. When it is more in free form, do you need less dose to be taken, more dose to be taken? Less dose. So decreased dose is required for a given action to be shown if it is displaced and existent in a free form is what need to be remembered. Break? Are you sure? You tell when you want a tea break, we will take a tea break, but otherwise our technical interruptions are giving enough break from the noise pollution of the teacher. Is the voice okay? Online? No issue? Right, good. Put fan for them, I think, and put on that light. And put this light also. I'll go a little more faster because most of the things, issues we covered in pharmacokinetics. Is the broadcast fine? Broadcast, is it okay? Yeah. All these drugs are metabolized by acetylation, except what is the question of the examiner. Okay, let's talk about acetylation, doctor. Whenever a drug is metabolized, there are two kinds of reactions which are called phase 1 and phase 2 reaction. What is phase 1 reaction? Oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis will typically convert a lipophilic drug to become either an electrophile or a nucleophile. So what three important reactions constitute phase 1? Oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis. Favorite MCQ of examiner. After that, they can undergo conjugation with glutathione or sulfation. Is the sound coming? No, no. That noise is not coming, no, fan noise. Okay. Sulfation, acetylation, glucuronidation. So these things will make it more hydrophilic. That's called phase 2 reaction. Common question asked is, which phase mein which reactions occur? Don't remember both the things. Then you have not attended coaching with us. Remember only one thing, and whatever that is not, that becomes phase 2. Reduction, oxidation, hydrolysis is phase 1. Simple to remember. Okay. Now, acetylation hence is an example of a phase 2 reaction is what you need to remember. Now, which kind of drugs basically will undergo acetylation, which is a phase 2 reaction? Generally, amines. Drugs which are having a amine group, they undergo phase 2 reaction. Sulfonamides, isoniazid, clonazepam, dapsone, mescaline. Chalo, what are their uses? Oh, batao. Sulfonamides, UTI. Isoniazid, antitubercular. Clonazepam is anti-epileptic, anxiolytic also. Dapsone is anti-leprosy drug. Mescaline is a sulfonamide which is used for inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis. They are all the drugs that undergo acetylation. Whereas theophylline in the drugs given doesn't undergo any acetylation. That's the point you need to appreciate. Enzyme induction, if it happens, what happens to the metabolism? Rate of metabolism of a drug? It becomes more metabolized and it will be more degraded, and its bioavailability will diminish because its elimination increases because the biotransformation is what need to be remembered. Liver is the main organ where the biotransformation basically happens. Is it fine? Just refresh the browser. Yeah, is it fine? Huh? Now it's coming? Okay. Is the fan sound not very disturbing? Right? Ask the online users to punch whether the fan voice is disturbing or is it clear. Now, doctor, we have what is called a P450 family of enzymes in the liver. What do? They do oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, dehydrogenation, conjugation. Conjugation is a part of phase 2. So they participate in both phase 1 and also phase 2 reactions basically. Now, common question asked in the exam is, what drugs induce this P450 system? What drugs are inhibitors of P450? Most dirty question whether you go for MDS entrance or MD entrance. This is a common question because you need to remember, that's a challenge. Barbiturates, phenytoin, carbamazepine, valproate, rifampicin, INH, alcohol. Any of them are called enzyme inducing drugs. Cimetidine, metronidazole, warfarin, macrolide antibiotics. Macrolides means? We'll anyway review in the antibiotics. Erythromycin, vancomycin and all these drugs. Then ketoconazole and all those antifungals, spironolactone, propylthiouracil, they are all the enzyme inhibiting drugs. You develop mnemonics only for those things which you have to inevitably cram, and they will definitely be asked in exam. Only such things you try to develop some mnemonics to remember.